Meet SAE International. You might not know us, but we've been with you. For the past 100 years, we've been revolutionizing transportation and mobility, partnering and supporting the dreamers, innovators, and can-doers who are changing the world. It's the child whose future career as an engineer will be shaped by our STEM education programs. It's the businesswoman boarding her flight with peace of mind, knowing that our committees have created the standards that ensure she gets from Detroit to Delhi and back again safely. It's the parents-to-be who are sleeping soundly, knowing that their electric car is fully charged and ready when it's go time. Driven by a passion to advance mobility knowledge and solutions, SAE's global community of over 200,000 engineers, technical experts, and volunteers continues to develop and curate the most reliable and comprehensive collection of engineering resources and consensus-based standards on Earth. The next mobility revolution is upon us. Connected and automated, electrified and sustainable. SAE will be here, as we have for the last 100 years, moving the world forward.
Hey everybody, Mark Z here. Welcome to our Supercharged episode. Today we have the president of the Engineering Society of Detroit, ESD. Welcome to our show, Kirk Steudle, and great to have you here. It's kind of like our brother-sister organization right here in Metro Detroit. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark, and it's great to be here. And I'll express my thanks to everybody that's watching as well. This is a great opportunity, and I'm very happy to be here.
Outstanding. So let's get started. We first want to learn, what is your organization all about, but maybe even more intriguing, we're going to have a little discussion. What's your background? You're an engineer, right? In the Engineering Society of Detroit. What did you engineer, and what does the Engineering Society do?
Yeah, that's a great lead in. And I think this discussion really is about how we collaborate, because we all went to college together. We all took the same calculus classes and the same chemistry classes for the first 2 years. And then we split apart and we went into our individual buildings. And then, somewhere in our career, maybe 30 or 40 years later, we kind of come back together again. But we miss a lot of that. And I think it's really more important than ever that we start coming back together again and use all the different disciplines of engineering. And that's what I really like about the Engineering Society of Detroit is it really is all of the different branches of engineering coming together and sharing experience. They're not necessarily, working on a project, but it's a society of engineers, right? So we have the most exciting parties, right? Engineers, yeah, imagine. Okay, so maybe not. We think that.
Well, engineers are exciting. It's just the way you look at things, right? Yeah. So the way the SAE looks at things is in the mobility engineering space, right? And when we were talking before, it's like, okay, you personally have done some engineering before coming to your position here. That was, mobility from the tires down, right? The tires down, right?
Yeah, that's it exactly, Mark. For a long time. So I come from the transportation area. I'm a civil engineer. I got hired right out of college to work for the Department of Transportation. You'll see right in the middle of the picture, there's me with an orange vest on. I spent the biggest bulk of my time building roads, building bridges, and then had very good fortune to be asked by Governor Granholm to be the director of the Department of Transportation, and then really fortunate to be asked by Rick Snyder to stay on as the director of Department of Transportation. And I retired from the state of Michigan in 2018 after a 32-year career, 16 years of which I was either the director or deputy director. So very, very fortunate. But through that whole time, as you noted, I worked from the pavement down. And all of my friends that I went to engineering school with that were mechanical engineers, my automotive engineering friends, they worked from the tire up. And the only interface was the tread. And then along comes this thing called connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles and now mobility that is really forcing all of us back together again. And I think it's great because, like I said in the beginning, look, we all started in the same engineering classes, and then we all got siloed. And frankly, today's problems really require all of us to come back together again to help solve some of those big problems.
All that world of ours, a mobility world, needs different disciplines. And we knew it, and maybe another thing to point out is we need those young professionals coming in too. So I noticed you've got something up there, General Mills logo.
Yeah.
Is that?
So before I jump to General Mills, I want to point out one picture on here because you mentioned about younger folks. Look at the bottom corner, and there's Grover from Sesame Street. One of the coolest things, the coolest things that I did was I was involved with the United Nations Decade of Road Safety, and I got to do the kickoff in Washington, D.C. with Grover. Now that was really cool, right? now back to the point about that G on the top, right? So that's General Mills, and you'll see Michigan State. So my daughter graduated from Michigan State in a degree in biosystems engineering. Now she works for General Mills, and she manufactures food, is what she tells me all the time. But what was really interesting is when she came home from kindergarten one day, and she had taken a piece of paper and folded and taped it together and made a cube, a box out of a piece of paper. And I still have that it's been crushed a little bit, but I looked and said, this little girl's spatial recognition is just amazing. I said, I don't know what she's going to do, but to be able to take a piece of paper and make a box in kindergarten was absolutely amazing. And here she is, a graduate engineer with an MBA working at General Mills, and as she says, manufacturing food.
That's a great story. Wonderful story. Well, we're going to come back to that, I think, workforce development and young professionals and, the story there in a few minutes. But I guess the ESD has been around for a while.
Yeah. So last year we celebrated our 125th year, wow. And this was a picture at Ford Field for our big gala dinner where we passed out awards, and it was the first awards dinner we actually were able to hold in the last 3 years. So we had 3 years worth of awards hanging out. We had, I don't know, 500 or 600 people there. It was a really grand event. So ESD really brings together all of those different disciplines, right? We have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, computer engineers, you name it, they're all at the table. And then we have all the universities as well. We have the deans of the colleges of Michigan and Michigan State and Lawrence Tech and Wayne State, and all the rest of them are at the table, along with significant Detroit area business people. So it's really great to see that collaboration come together at a board meeting. But then when you extend it beyond that into some of the events that we have, different companies will host a group of students or a group of young professionals or a group of seasoned professionals like me that we all go down to DTE and see their latest whatever they're offering, or we go to a construction office and see some new high-rise that's being built. But one of the things that's really interesting with ESD is they really are focused on engaging students. And in particularly, there's one group, that bottom picture there is called Girls in Engineering Academy. And what we're targeting is middle school girls from the city of Detroit and getting them engaged in engineering. So we work with them through the school year, but more importantly, there is a summer intern program where we take them for 2 weeks and we take them to a university campus and we really dive into engineering, and they do some detailed work. These are middle school girls. And then the emphasis here is to keep them engaged through high school and then get them into STEM programs in the colleges and universities that are part of ESD, our Michigan universities.
Yeah.
So that one is tremendous. And then the one at the upper corner is called Smart Cities, or Future Cities. I'm sorry, Future Cities. And this is a group of, again, middle school students that come together. They create a team and they get a challenge every year, and it's something to do with a future city. So one of them will take the role of a civil engineer. One will take the role of an electrical engineer because they've got to get power. There's a mechanical engineer. So right there, these middle school kids are learning how all the different disciplines of engineering come together to solve a real problem in a future city. It's just fantastic. So we really try to focus on those young kids.
Yeah, I was going to use that word fantastic again. And I'm just thinking out loud, there's probably further collaboration between SAE and ESD in this exact area. We have this world in motion, AWIM as we call it. And then in my role, I've got a couple different roles at the business SAE, and I also am associated with University of Detroit Mercy. So I think Katie Snyder, I'm going to talk to her about this next week. It's like, wow, we need to get involved. So it's more than, it's sparking that interest in engineering in our world. And maybe people are interested in electronics or something like that, but it's great to have that. So you also have fun there, it looks like.
Yeah. So the big picture in the middle, actually, this is our student chapter at Michigan State. But we have a student chapter at every university that has engineering in the state of Michigan. So one picture I didn't put up here was Lake Superior State. So there's engineering students at Lake Superior State. We have a chapter at Lake Superior State.
Interesting.
And again, this is a collaboration. These are very different engineers, right? There can be electrical engineers and automotive and mechanical engineers and civils and chemical. You name it. In fact, I see a couple of faces there that I know were in the biosystems area where my daughter was at. Mm-hmm. So we do, again, so we really work on getting them engaged in middle school, keeping them through high school, and then really get them excited in college. And then we work with them for placement to help them get jobs, and hopefully they get jobs in the Southeast Michigan area, or frankly, we've expanded recently to say we just want to keep them in Michigan, keep these young brains here in Michigan. And then go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering, do you find it? I mean, what's the magic in the engagement, as you mentioned there, the word engagement? Honestly, in the SAE side, we've got the collegiate design series, and there's some universities or colleges that are highly engaged in this competition, but it's focused on those students with that corner of interest.
Yep.
This seems a lot more broader, very, very much more pulling more of the community in Maybe there's some, again, you've discovered some magical formula here that we should explore together.
Yeah, pizza and beer.
All right. All right. Well, that's
So
the engineers, well, don't motto, right? So
the two pictures on the end, you know, we don't leave all the fun just for the kids. So you can see, so these are some of our ESD members and sponsors. We have a big golf outing in June of every year. And frankly, while we have fun with that, it really is our largest fundraiser. And it generates a lot of money that helps support the beer and pizza at colleges, but more importantly, you know, all of the other programs that go on behind the scenes, the Girls in Engineering Academy, and then we didn't even talk about the refresher courses for the PE exam
right.
that
Very
ESD
famous
puts
for
on,
that,
which
yeah.
in my field in civil engineering is extremely important. If you're going to do
Right.
any kind of public work, you need to have that professional license.
Right.
So you know, here's a group of some of our members that are just having fun, and they're helping us for the future so that we can have funds to help these young kids.
Yeah, remarkable. Well, let's talk about the other areas of collaboration that even SAE and ESD, you know, there's something right here near term that we could probably do together. And you show M-City, you show connected vehicles, and what are your thoughts there, Kirk?
You know, well, first of all, I had to put the M-City in here because I had that other Michigan State logo, so I didn't want any of our viewers to say, what the heck? Now, listen, I graduated from Lawrence Tech, so there was a Lawrence Tech picture in there as well. But really, you said it right in the beginning. You're very involved in mobility. Frankly, as my personal note, from the mid like 2006 or 7, I got engaged on the ITS side, which has really morphed into the mobility and how we use technology. And frankly, that's where I see a lot of overlap. I see a lot of us coming together in someplace like M-City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that place specifically, but if you think about what has to happen, there's a lot of civil engineering that went into building M-City and the proper radius and curves and all the rest of that. Same thing with the American Center of Mobility.
Right.
Along with the electronics, along with the mechanical engineering, there's just so much that all of a sudden comes together. And it is less about the interface being the tire, because now there's data up and down. There's data that the civil side can use for managing traffic. There's data that provides greater mobility and frankly, paramount, safety. Safety is the number one issue, is why we're really working at this, right? How do we make it safer for people, drivers, or anybody else to you know, move around society?
Yeah, sustainability, safety, mobility, they all go together, right? So it's quite a great combination.
They really do. And you know, that second bullet is one that's really, really important to ESD. It's important to me personally as well. And this goes back to that picture of Girls in Engineering Academy, right? If we're really looking to have a diverse workforce, you know, if I look at my graduating class of engineers, it was not very diverse. So it's really hard to pick people that are in, you know, the latter part of their career, because the pool of candidates in engineering school 30 years ago looked much different. But it's so important right now that we are recruiting and pulling a diverse set of entry-level engineers, the new freshman students coming in that have a different population. Again, I think about my daughter at Michigan State, and you know, when she said she wanted to be an engineer, I was, you know, really pleased and happy that she was going to do that. But on the other hand, I was also thinking about, okay, well, which field is she going to go into? I mean, I knew that, you know, when I was in college, civil engineering was primarily a male dominated field, and the women were in electrical engineering or chemical engineering. And I just figured it's because they were smarter and they needed to be in chemical engineering.
Yeah, that is a lot harder.
But I think it's really important. I think we've got to start now if we want to make the workforce look different for the future.
And, bringing it all together back into our societies and working together, I think is an important point of that collaborative effort too. I mentioned this to you earlier, my daughter went into engineering. She's a senior at U of M, and I know it takes a while after you graduate and get come back into the idea of the societies and collaborating together. But if we don't bring that idea forward earlier in their career, I'm concerned that maybe they'll forget about it.
Mark, I think you're really right, and that is something that we see at ESD as well. You saw the picture of them at Michigan State, and they're really engaged. Yeah. And then they get hired and they get into their career, and then life happens, right? And then they're learning, and we're trying to find ways to help them to continue to build their network, so that when they do get to that point that says, I've kind of got this now I can go stretch, that they come back to ESD. And I think the same thing for SAE.
Yeah, I think we're really good in flying in parallel. That's right. So where can we go together? So this is, I think we're almost to the end here on this slide. There's a lot on here. Do you want to break this down for us, Kirk?
Yeah, this is just one that I grabbed off of the future of construction, and it really is about technology and where technology is going to be used in the construction area. Again, that's where I came from, as a construction background, and I think about the workforce, and I think about, okay, how can we advance automation? How can we advance technologies to help all of our productivity across all the different disciplines of engineering? And this just happens to be construction again, because that's my background. Mm-hmm. But I think it's imperative on all of us to think about how do we come together and really focus on engaging the strengths of the other engineering disciplines with a mindset of how do we advance technology. All of us are going to have different experience. We're going to have different knowledge in those different areas. But I think coming together and sharing that, I think would be one of the most useful things going forward. And again, using all of our different experience and collective education.
Outstanding. Well, we're out of time here, and did want to have an opportunity to share with our audience the contact details, and right here in the Detroit area. It's a great organization, and I want to make sure that people have information here where they connect to.
Mark, I would also add, just as you're wrapping up, it's the oldest engineering society and the largest in the entire country.
Great. Well, I'm an ESD member too, and I'm proud of it. So thank you, Kirk, for joining us. I think we've all learned a lot. Appreciate your time. And if the viewers want to get more insight also on SAE Detroit section, SAE Detroit, contact details will shown up here on the screen, and give us a call, reach out anytime. I'd be happy to talk to you, or any of our staff would also enjoy a discussion. So until next time, have a supercharged day, everybody.